Creator Kings and Queens, welcome to Business Models for Creators, the show where we explore the reality of people living the creator dream and help you turn your creator dream into reality. I'm your host, Jasmine Love. Welcome to the show. Today we have a very special guest. We have my friend Janelle Cook. She is a copywriter and the owner of Scary Good Copy, where she helps e-commerce brands turn their customers into superfans by writing copy people actually want to read. Janelle is also a mom and an avid hiker, and she was brave and courageous enough to be our first guest on Business Models for Creators. Wherever you are, even though we can't hear you, show Janelle some love. Janelle in the house. I said Janelle in the house. Woo! Thank you so much for joining us and for being here, Janelle.
Thank you for having me. That was a very, very fun intro.
Awesome. So what is happening in your world right now? How are you feeling?
A little busy, you know, everybody should be winding down before Christmas and everything, but I always find myself always busy. I don't know. I think I like to keep myself productive. So it's a little overwhelming.
Good. And then, yeah, and this, just FYI, we are recording this right before Christmas, but it's probably going to air in the spring. So everybody's going to be all toasty and warm. Well, actually, we're toasty and warm too, because of where we live.
Always.
But, yeah. Oh, speaking of warm and cold, I've been experimenting with taking cold showers for like health and productivity. And so I was like rehearsing for greeting you for the podcast, but I've never talked in the shower before. So I was washing my face with the water coming down, and I'm like rehearsing for today. And like I started eating soap and waterboarding myself because I was like trying to rehearse in the shower. So if you ever do a podcast again, don't like rehearse with the water on your face.
Okay, I will keep that in mind.
Awesome. See,
and you don't do the same either.
Yeah, I'm going to stop doing that. I can't drown. So learning something new already. Got to provide value for everybody. Don't rehearse for things in the shower, or at least not with the water on your face.
Right.
All right, so let's get this party started. So as you know, as a creator, we have to be constantly consuming content, reading, watching stuff, observing life. I call it content sponging because you just soak up the content like a sponge. It gets in your subconscious so you can spit things out. So I'm curious, what is your favorite type of content to sponge on? Podcasts, other advertisements, books? What do you consume?
Gosh. Okay. So I wish I had something like more meaningful, some grand like copywriting or business content that I could share with you. But honestly, like, which I do absorb like different forms of like marketing content through the, all the emails that I'm signed up for. And I do listen to copywriting, podcasts, marketing podcasts and stuff like that. But the thing I most love to absorb is like just external sources, and I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll explain why I think that it's good to be dynamic in that sense. So I like watching horror movies. Obviously, my business name is Scary Good Copy, so that comes from somewhere. And I listen to true crime and paranormal podcasts. I watch ghost shows. I read scary short stories on this subreddit called Our No Sleep, which I read that stuff. It's like bedtime stories for me. So I read that right before bed. And I mentioned that I do love reading emails, promotional emails from businesses that I buy from, or, and I think it's good to, not just only absorb content in your field of work, because I think it kind of makes your experiences and, what you provide in your writing makes it a little bit more dynamic. I read a lot of stories, and I think as a copywriter that's so hyped about like branding and stuff like that, I think reading different types of stories really helps you with your work. So
yeah, I agree. And when you were talking about it, it brought back a memory. So I read your website, I know what your brand is, but I never put it together that, she probably watches horror movies. And like the moment I knew, there were several moments I knew I wanted to be your friend, but when I knew we were like meant to be friends is the first time we met, at the end of our meeting, you said, "Thank you for not being a serial killer." And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I'm so happy she wasn't a serial killer. And I'm like, she thinks exactly like me. And it makes sense that you watch horror. I don't watch horror anymore. I used to, but I've become so sensitive. I'm too scared. And I used to do
Yeah.
all the serial killer true crime. Now I just do white collar true crime, fraud, scams. I can't do blood and murder anymore. But yeah, it does make you stand out. And I was like, oh, it's meant to be. We are meant to be friends. It's so like inspiring that you're able to take your love of stories and bring it to marketing. And your website is branded in this really unique and authentic way. So if you haven't checked it out, everybody go to scarygoodcopy.com, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Scarygoodcopy.com. It is a good read. I was reading it to prepare for this podcast, and I had the time of my life. I'm like, if this is my job, reading Janelle's website, I love my job. It is scary good. It is a scary good website for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm curious, out of everything you've consumed recently, it could be a horror movie, it could be a book, it could be a Reddit story, anything. What is the last piece of content that really left an impression on you, and why did it leave an impression on you?
One piece of content that really stuck out to me recently. So there's this brand, it's an underwear brand called Shinesty. And if you go on their website or read any of their emails, their branding is so fun and it's amazing. Like the funny things that they get away with, and I love brands that push the boundaries on copy like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's businesses like that that I absolutely love and love working for. There was one thing that I read recently in one of their most recent emails. They released a print holiday catalog, and I guess they did like in one of their emails, they did a FAQ or something. Like they got a bunch of questions about it. So they released this email just to kind of like address all of them at the same time. And it was basically just like an FAQ, and it was hilarious. Like their responses to their real customer questions were funny, they were entertaining, and they were dancing on that fine line between snarky and mean. But and it is a truly fine line, and it's really hard to get right. But I think they really nailed it with that one, and I kept that. I have this swipe file folder on my emails for like my favorite emails, and I saved it in there just because I thought it's so unique and it's so fun. And if I feel like, obviously I'm just like I nerd out about this stuff, but I feel like their customers also love it too. Otherwise, why would they do that? So I think that's
Exactly. And you're right,
yeah.
it is a fine line between the snarky and mean. But I think, well, you're kind of younger than me, but I think you're still a millennial. But I think Gen Z nails it. The kids today. Oh my gosh, I sound so old. I'm like, the kids
Yeah.
today. But the kids today, they do nail that like snark, mean humor thing. It's really great.
Yeah, they're very unapologetic, and like as old people, often we're just like, oh, kids these days. But I think just they are in a generation where like they have that confidence, and I admire that because with Gen X and millennials and stuff like that, like I think we just kind of grew up to fall in line, and I think that Gen Z, they're doing great things in like drawing a new line.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's a great way to put it. And it makes for more exciting ads. I'm glad the kids these days are working in the
Yeah.
marketing industry because it makes for good marketing and good social media.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so we are going to dive to our first segment called A Day in the Life of a Creator, where we explore the day-to-day realities of being a creator and how you got to where you are. So I am curious, Janelle, when you were a teenager, did you know you wanted to be a copywriter, or would you think you wanted to be?
Honestly, I didn't even know what copywriting was. And when I got my bachelor's in journalism and mass communication with a minor in marketing. Copywriting just went completely over my head. I don't know if I like just didn't like didn't learn about it or if I just like completely ignored it. But no, long story short, no, like I didn't want to grow up to be a copywriter. I did want to be a writer. There was, I always had a knack for writing, you know, like I was always journaling and I always loved writing papers in school and I had a Zanga. I don't know if anybody,
Oh my
if
God, you
everybody
had
wants
a
to know.
Zanga? I
Of
had a
course I
Zanga. My name was Dark Lady J on Zanga, but yeah, that's so awesome. I don't know anybody else who had a Zanga.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't know if anybody even really knows what that means
Oh
anymore,
yeah, for
but
people who don't know what Zenga is, it was like this online diary. It was like before blogs came out, but you could like journal your day or whatever you wanted to talk about, share your poetry, your
yeah.
thoughts, and you could style it. It was kind of like MySpace where you could do the themes and colors and make it your own and people would comment, but Zenga was popping and I lost a lot of my Zenga files. Some I printed out, but the site is like gone and some of my best
Hmm.
work was in Zenga. That was when I was in undergrad, Zenga.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to write for this music magazine that I really, really loved, and but life, you know, like I even went to school for writing and stuff like that, but life didn't really take me that way. I kind of, you know, things happened, and I had to get like a real job, you know, and kind of just like fell into like the corporate workforce. I worked for the federal government for a few years, and then yeah.
Wait, no, you. It's not just yeah.
It's not. Oh,
You worked for the federal government, and then how did you become a copywriter?
oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if we were gonna keep going with that, but
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Um, so I worked for the federal government, and the time that I discovered copywriting, I was married to an active duty service member. He was in the Navy, and we had to move. You know, like that's just military life. You just have to move, and we moved from Nevada to Hawaii, which was a big change, you know, across the ocean. And I had a really hard time trying to find a job within the federal government. You know, I applied for a ton, but it was in the middle of COVID. So, you know, things were just kind of weird and things were just really hard. So when we got here, we had to quarantine. And I had a friend that told me about this thing called copywriting. And I was like, oh, what's that? You know, like I had all this time in my hands. I was like, I Googled it and I read about it and I was like, holy cow. I was like, you mean I could write and make money? I don't have to be a starving artist. Like, you know what I mean? And so I dove right in. I did all this research. I studied and absorbed every free resource I could get from all these different copywriters and signed up for all these email lists. And those first few weeks, I just studied for hours, day and night, you know, like all the free time I had. That's what I did. I just studied copywriting, the different types and stuff like that. And it was the first time I truly felt like I found my calling. And I was like, okay, I was like, there's something here. So I abandoned the job hunt and I was just like, okay, I'm going to focus on this. Cool. Like, like this is what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to dive in.
Nice. And then what would you say? You could give me 1 to 3 because I was going to say what was the most helpful training or self-guided practice ritual you did. You know how some copywriters to learn they handwrite sales letters, or maybe you took a course, or maybe there was a lead magnet that was free that was helpful, or a YouTube channel. But what was either the single most helpful one that helped you feel prepared to take clients, or your top 3, whichever you choose to share?
You know, there's a lot of like the classic copywriting books out there. If you just Google it, you know, you'll get pretty much a similar list of everything. You know, like scientific advertising and how to win friends and influence people. And another popular one is like, hey, Whipple, squeeze this. Not personally my favorite, but anyways, I digress. But I think the most the two things that helped me the most was copy hackers. They have this thing called the copy school, and they have very comprehensive trainings on different types of copy, and that really helped me learn how to write copy, how to research, and how to like learn about like your market and stuff like that. And but the other thing was joining this I want to say it's like a mastermind, but not quite. But anyways, the program is called the Copywriter Accelerator, and it's run by the Copywriter Club, which is like the top copywriting podcast that I listen to. And just listening to that podcast, it's really inspiring. It's kind of similar to what we're doing here. You know, you learn about a copywriter's journey and, you know, like how they work and what they do now. And it was just really inspiring. It was kind of a no-brainer when they opened up the enrollment for their accelerator program, which I signed up for. And that has been the biggest help for me in my career and in my confidence.
Nice. And how do they help you? Like, I noticed I haven't, but fun fact, me and Janelle met through Robin Kira's group, the Copywriter Underground. It's not the same as the accelerator, but we met in the underground. But when I read your website, I'm like, I think she's been through the accelerator, and you have, so I was right. But tell me how exactly the accelerator helped you get off the ground.
Okay, sure. My biggest takeaway from that, and I'll give you a brief overview about the accelerator without going too deep into it. But basically, it builds the foundation of your copywriting business. You go through your niche, your processes, your packages, and visibility and stuff like that. And it just really sets like a really good foundation for you. And that helped me a lot. I think I was copywriting for almost a year before I actually joined. And I kind of felt like I was just all over the place. I didn't really have any structure. And then when I joined that, that really helped me figure out, you know, like who I wanted to write for and what I was best, like what type of copy I was best at and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is the networking opportunity. I met so many wonderful people from the accelerator and who are still like, you know, it's been over a year now since I graduated, and they're still like some of my best friends. And the networking opportunity that it provides, you know, like this year, I haven't really focused so much on visibility, but just being friends with other copywriters and other marketers, you know, it really helps because we share leads and we give each other referrals and stuff like that. And that's mostly how I've gotten my work this year. And I think that was just the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway for me for joining that is the opportunity to connect with other copywriters and just share, you know, like share clients and referrals and stuff like that.
Thank you for sharing that, because I do want to emphasize that it's so important to get around people who are on the same journey as you. Not every creator is a copywriter, but whatever you're doing, if you're trying to be a copywriter, hang out with copywriters. If you're trying to do YouTube, meet some other YouTubers. You're trying to publish books on Kindle, get around Kindle publishers, and it really helps to share knowledge. And what a lot of people aren't teaching, I think it's also important to cross-pollinate. So while if you're on a copywriter journey, you want to hang with more copywriters and YouTubers hang with YouTubers, I think YouTubers should also network with copywriters, and copywriters should network with TikTokers, and TikTokers should network with Kindle publishers, because I think you can learn. I've done all the things. I had a business publishing books on Kindle. My main business is copywriting. I've tried YouTube. I was part of a public speaking group, and I've learned so much from learning from the different groups and not just staying in my group. But the point is, get around people. Don't just sit around in your underwear online. Network, and it'll help you get further.
Yes, I agree. I did. That first year was very lonely for me. You know, like I didn't really have anybody to talk about it to, you know, because my friends and family, every time I'm like, oh, you know, I'm doing this copywriting thing. And they're like, what's that? Is that like the C with the circle around it? And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So it was really nice. It was really helpful to be around other people who knew what I was talking about.
Nice. And so I'm curious, how did you get your very first client?
I did what literally everybody tells you to do when you first start a business is you just reach out to your existing network. You reach out to your friends, you reach out to acquaintances, colleagues, stuff like that. Just tell them what you do and ask them, you know, if they need help. And that's what I did. I used to work at a sushi and Chinese restaurant as a waitress back when I was going through college. And I reached out to the owner And I was like, hey, like you have a business, I have this business, and I think we could totally work together. And obviously that's not exactly what I said, but I wrote that this whole pitch, in an email. But he was like, that sounds absolutely amazing, and I totally think I could benefit from that. So let's talk. Yeah, and that's how I got my first client, and it was really fun. I redid his website and wrote some copy for some print flyers and stuff, like and redid their menu and stuff like that. It was really kind of all over the place, but it was really fun, like just being able to actually do the work that I'd been studying for weeks.
Yeah, that is so cool. You know what? I actually didn't do what I was supposed to do when I started my business, because you know what? This is weird on my end. I'm really glad you did what you did, but I was self-conscious. I was not confident in myself at first. So I was afraid to write copy for friends. Cause I'm like, what if the copy bombs, or what if they don't like it? And then that's my friend. So I specifically wanted to work with strangers. So I got started on Upwork. I remember my first client was actually a speech writing client. So yeah, and that was a lot of fun too. But yeah, my first two clients were speech writing clients. And I remember somebody asked me for a bid proposal on a speech. It was an international CEO, and I didn't know what I was doing. This is like 6 years ago. And I said $25 for a speech. And speeches go for hundreds of dollars. So he ignored my bid proposal for $25 and just created an hourly contract, and I was billing $89 an hour. So, and I had never got paid that much in my life. So I got $89 an hour to write the speech, and I'm so glad he just tossed
Wow.
out what I said about $25 flat fee.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so that,
incredible.
yeah, that was crazy. But anyways, not everybody knows what a copywriter does. And also, even those who do know what it is, they know about like the fantasy of it, or like what happened on Mad Men or whatever. So walk us through a
Yeah.
like real day in the life of a copywriter. Do you have a morning routine? First, like what time do you wake up, and do you have a morning routine, or is each day a little bit
Oh
different?
gosh. Oh man. Okay, so you listen to other like business owners and copywriters, or marketers or whatever, that work from home, and they have this really fancy like morning routine, and they're like, I don't pick up my laptop until I've had my coffee and my hour-long yoga session, or like, and that's fine. That's fine. Unfortunately, I'm crazy, I guess, because that is not how I operate. And as much as beautiful as that sounds, um, I just so anyways, I'll just go into it. So I wake up anywhere between like 6 and 7, and I grab my laptop, which is within reach of my bed, which is a huge no-no for a lot of people. Put it in my lap, and then I start working. And yeah, I do, like, just to kind of like wake myself up. I kind of just do like all like my easy like admin tasks. Like I have like a to-do list of things that I need to accomplish for the day, and I knock out all of the easy ones first, and then by the time I get hungry, that's when I'll put it down, and then I'll eat breakfast, and then I'll kind of just relax for like 30 minutes to an hour, and then I go to the gym. I give myself that break kind of in the mid morning, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to the gym and work out, and then I'll have lunch, and then I'm fired up and ready to work like all afternoon. And that's when I do like all my client work and all like the more difficult tasks, or the tasks I personally find difficult, like with my business and stuff like that. So yeah, that's
Awesome. Oh, and
that's my
well,
day.
I wasn't going to get to this yet, but what is your night routine? How do you transition from the workday to after hours? And do you have a routine to prepare for bed, or, tell me about it?
So when I'm done with work, I close my laptop, and then I take a deep breath, and then I let out this like big huge sigh of relief, and I'm just like, yes, I am awesome. And then that's it.
I love it. I
That's
love
it.
it.
And then I just put my laptop away. I put my little desk away, because I don't actually have like a dedicated workspace in my room. But yeah, I put all that stuff away, and then I just go have dinner and spend some time with family, and I'll watch a movie or like an episode of something, and then brush my teeth, and then read my bedtime stories and go to bed.
Yes, and I want to
That's
emphasize something you said. You say you don't have a dedicated workspace. You don't have like an elaborate green juice or coffee or yoga routine in the morning. And the reason I think it's important to emphasize this is like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And I used to have a 3 hour morning routine, and actually it like made me less productive because it was so long. But the point is, you don't need a special desk or a special green drink or a special yoga routine. You can just, all you need is a laptop to write or whatever you're creating. All you need is your phone to record videos, whatever you're creating. Like, if the routine helps you, do it, but don't think you need that, and don't think you need a fancy office and an oak desk. Just grab your laptop and get to work. That is an important lesson.
yes, I agree. Like I feel so much pressure because like I read about everybody else's very strict like morning routines, and that's great. Like I don't knock on yoga. I do yoga before I work out, and I don't knock on like I love matcha tea lattes. Like I don't knock on any of that. It's just like this is just what works for me right now. You know what I mean? And I do plan on working on refining it, but I mean, like I work from home. This is my business. I can do whatever I want.
Yes, yes, and I love to see it and love to hear it. So, what are the top 3 to 5 tasks that must get done in your business to keep it going, like on a regular basis? Your top 3 to 5 tasks.
So client work, obviously, because if you don't do the work, then you're not going to get paid. And then networking. I always make a point to check in with, a couple of my copywriting friends or like just other people in my network a day, whether that's through social media, like I'll interact on Facebook groups and stuff like that. I think that helps a little bit with visibility and stuff like that. Just being open to like just whatever the day throws at you. I think just what makes a good writer is one that's able to like experience the world. So it's always good to have time to, something as simple as like just going for a walk outside in your neighborhood. I live by the beach, so I'm fortunate enough to get a lot of good people watching in me. So just trying to make a little bit of time for getting out there and experiencing something.
Yeah,
I
and
know that's not necessarily super business related. Like, like I would love to say, oh, I read a marketing book for an hour or something. But honestly, I think just experiences, it's good for you and it's good for your business.
yeah, I agree. And not just for copywriters, if you're a comic or a YouTuber or a fiction writer, just getting out there and like I'm such a creep, but when I go out and people watch, I people listen. I like to listen in on people's conversations because it's like intriguing and gives me ideas. But yeah, you should
Yeah.
get out there and experience the world. And I'm curious, one thing I expected to hear but didn't is that pitching would be a big part of keeping your business running, getting out there and pitching potential clients, but I didn't hear that. So do you pitch or are you doing something else?
I would love to say that I do. And honestly, that was in my mind when you asked me that question.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't been pitching consistently. I haven't been prospecting like consistently throughout this year. Without getting too far into it, this year has been kind of really tumultuous for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that felt easiest for me was just focusing on the clients that I do have and just doing a really good job for them. And that in turn that gave me more work and stuff like that. So I managed to stay afloat while I was going through all these like life changes and stuff like that. But yes, pitching is very important. And that is something that I am going to start doing again. So I do have an Upwork profile that I'm going to hop back on, and I'm going to send proposals through there. And then I'm going to make a list of all like a bunch of clients that I'm going to approach so I can start growing in 2023. Because 2022 was mostly just staying afloat. 2023, my plan is exponential growth.
Yes, I love it. But one thing I do know is that you had a second job for a while you were doing your copywriting, but you got so busy with copywriting, you had to leave your second job. So what brought about that influx of work that made you so busy that you had to leave a second job you loved?
I just had a lot of inquiries from people that I've met. Like I actually got a client through that second job. She was somebody that worked there as well, but she also had her own business. She's a personal trainer. So she had asked me, and we had agreed to like work together on certain things, and just things kept coming up for me. Honestly, I don't know if it was just luck or what, but people like some of the people in my network were like, hey, like this person needs help with this. Like, could I send them to you? I don't have the space for it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that was just the universe saying, hey, Janelle, you need a break. But here you go, like here's some clients and stuff like that. And I was like happily, like I happily took them without a solid plan of, like in terms of time management. But yeah, that's how that happened. I wish I had something more profound to
No, it
say or
is
like.
profound. It is serendipity, and I believe in serendipity. And like some people are gonna write me off as woo woo, but I don't care. When you make a commitment, like internally and externally, the universe responds. And to be clear, I'm not saying build it and they will come. Again, don't sit around alone in your underwear at home, like just dreaming
Right.
and not doing. But she mentioned she had a network. That is something really tangible that was already established. So like the people around you can help you. So networking, and I need to do more of that in general. So I'm learning from you. But yeah, build your network. And then when you have a commitment, the universe will orchestrate to make it happen. And each action you put into the universe has an opposite reaction. So yeah, I believe in flow and serendipity. It is a thing. So make your commitment, believe you can do it, tell people what you want to do. And then when you need that lucky break, hopefully it'll be there for you for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So tell me, what is the most challenging business task you have to do? What's the hardest part of running your business for you?
Social media for my own business.
Yeah.
That I've tried to do that throughout the year and it just never felt easy for me. Like I've read all of the things and like even joined some courses about how to get better at LinkedIn or improve your visibility on Instagram and stuff like that. But it just doesn't come easy to me. And then when I try to do it, I'm just like, oh, I hate this. And then I just I just give up on it. I think visibility in that way is the toughest thing for me right now. Everything else, honestly, I really love the client work and, you know, the personal development and, just reading research and stuff like that. I love all of it, but it's just the social media stuff I hate.
Yeah, and then since it's hard for you and you don't like it, how do you get yourself to keep trying?
I talk to my other colleagues that who do a really good job at it. They always have something like some unique insight to provide and like when I hear it, like, something clicks and I'm just like, oh yeah, I was like, okay, so I'll try that. I will admit that I haven't implemented any of that, but I do have a very long Google Doc of all these notes that I've taken of all the things that I should be doing, but I'm not.
Yeah, and then maybe it'll turn out that you just build your business without social media, because that is something I want to highlight. A lot of people think not only in copywriting businesses, but in all businesses, there's only one way to do things because that's what the kid on YouTube said. But there are people who don't like social media because they're introverted or they just don't have time for it. And they built their business through referrals or through pitching or through just having retainers, and then those clients refer them. And there's a bunch of, and actually I know a copywriter. I couldn't do this, so this is why I can't copy for other people, but she gets all her clients from in-person conferences. She likes to travel, she likes to network face to face. I am a homebody. I do not want to get out into the streets. I network through Messenger. In the way, even though I'm one of the old kids, I am like the Gen Zers. I like to text and message and do video chats. And so yeah, each person finds their way. So yeah, maybe you'll one day find a way to keep sustaining without social media.
Yeah, I think that might be something I might have to let go because I just get a lot of resistance from it internally. So and I've been doing fine. So maybe, next time I talk to you, I'll be like, I made $1 million on referrals only. Yeah.
That would be sweet, and it is possible.
Yeah, it
so
is. Yeah.
So what is your favorite part? You said you loved a lot of things about running your copywriting business, but if you could choose one thing, what is your favorite task you have to do in your business?
Honestly, I love the client work. The research and the writing is my favorite. I've always had a penchant for learning. I love learning new things, and especially if the subject interests me, I love just deep diving into research and learning everything I can about it. I love that. Like, and I've always loved writing. So, taking the research and then writing, like writing your deliverable or whatever and delivering it to the client, and then they're happy. I love it.
Nice. And I think you're going to be rich because this is like so important. And I missed this when I started out in like a bunch of different endeavors. You love the meat of it. So the most important thing in a copywriting business is client work. I mean, that is how you get paid. So you have to love that thing. And if you're a YouTuber, the most important thing is making videos. And if you're an author, it's writing books. And it sounds so obvious, but so many people overlook it. They read these success stories, or they just like the title of, I'm a copywriter, I'm an author, I'm a YouTuber, and you're pulling their little imaginary blazers up. But to succeed and keep going, you have to love the core of the business. Whatever the mechanism of the business is, you have to love it. So since you love it, you can keep doing it, and you can outrun the people who just became a copywriter because they like the title. So I think you're going to be really successful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, for sure. And speaking of success and business, let's move into our next segment called Marketing and Monetization, where we talk about how to turn your creativity into a real business. So, Janelle, let's dive right into it. How do you make money in your business?
Client work mainly. I don't have any products or anything like that, but just mainly projects for clients.
So you write marketing campaigns and in turn, they pay you for it. Is that how it works?
Essentially, and not only just like marketing campaigns as a whole, but like websites, emails, social media, captions, product descriptions. I work, a lot of my clients are in the e-commerce space.
Mm-hmm.
So all the copy associated with that.
Awesome. And then how do you bill for your work? Do you charge by the hour? Do you charge per deliverable? Do you charge a retainer, or do you have packages?
All of the above.
Oh, awesome.
I have price by project. There is one client that pays me per hour, and I do also charge by deliverable and stuff like that.
Awesome. So I've never heard that there's people, it's almost like religion. There's people who religiously believe in flat fee, religiously believe in retainer, religiously believe in hourly, but it's cool. You're like, I'll take the money any way it comes. Another sign you may be rich. I love to see it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best message to say that, like I'll just take it as it comes, but it's just, like they always tell you, oh, put your foot down, only charge per project, never by hour or whatever, but I think just, like, and I agree, like I personally don't prefer to work by the hour, but just with this client, it was just a wonderful opportunity to be able to work with a really cool brand. And, you just kind of got to let up sometimes if you want to, you have to make a little bit of sacrifices if you're really fired up about the work. And I really am, and I really was fired up for the opportunity. So I let up in that aspect.
Yeah. And so I do think like a theme here, what I'm learning from you is it's important to be flexible. Just because the rule book or like the Bible of copywriting says one way, it's okay to make an exception and it can work. For example, I too heard like never charge by the hour. And I do think that eventually like we want to move out of hourly billing. But some of my first assignments, when I got paid $89 an hour for that speech, I got more than when I tried to charge $25 flat fee. And even when I raised my flat fees, I started charging $150 an hour. And some people just wanted a few things done. And making $150 an hour, for me, that was a lot of money. And it really paid the bills. And I had one project, I mean, it was like 10 or 12 hours a week at $150 an hour. And like, if I would have turned that down, it would have been silly just because it was hourly. And to contrast that, right. I had a job that was flat fee. it was for SEO business and getting backlinks for people. So I got $5 per pitch I sent out to try to get these people a backlink. But if you multiplied it or divided it by how long it took me to write the pitch, I was making, depending on the day, how fast I could work, I was making like $3 an hour, $10 an hour. So it was flat fee, but based on how many hours it took to check the Slack channel, to send the pitches, I was making below minimum wage. So I say all this to say, be flexible, like look at the rules and advice people give you in context and make it work for you.
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, so what was the biggest mistake you made in your creator journey and what did you learn from it?
So I will preface this with that it was definitely a learning opportunity, and me and the other person involved are still the best of friends. So, remember that friend I told you about that told me about copywriting?
Yes.
Well, we decided, we decided immediately. We were like, let's do this together. Let's start a business together and we'll do this, as a team. And, immediately partnering up with someone who was just learning the ropes like I was, it was like the blind leading the blind, and a successful partnership. It has two people who bring different things to the table, and those things come together to create like the perfect like product or service or whatever, right? And while that was mostly true for both of us, like we did have our own unique skill sets and stuff like that. It was just really difficult to navigate and find ways to successfully work together as we were both learning and growing and trying to figure out how all of these things work. We split amicably, and like I said, we are still like the best of friends. But that was probably the biggest mistake that I did make in my copywriting career. It was nice having somebody that was along for the ride, and obviously it had to happen for me to find myself where I am today. But it was definitely a learning experience. And next time, if in the future, partnerships, be very careful. Be very careful with those.
How did you guys get the guts to split? Because you're friends, you're both new, and you realize it's not working. But like, how do you make that split? How do you make that call, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, that was very hard. We both just kind of had different priorities. She still had a full-time job, and it was really hard trying to figure out how we could work together as we were trying to figure out how we ourselves worked alone, So I just had to have the conversation with her, we had a meeting and I was like, hey, how do you feel about how everything is going? And we just had a really honest conversation with each other. And, there was nothing bad or, that we talked about or anything like that, but we were just like, hey, I think this would be better if we just did this separately alongside each other, but separately.
Yeah, and see, that's beautiful. Sometimes and I'm not great at having the tough conversations, but this is a good story for me because I see you can have the tough conversations and still preserve the friendship and both people still get what they want. So that is really beautiful. Now I am curious, what was your biggest success so far as a creator and how did you make it happen?
Can you clarify? Like monetary or?
Not necessarily like first of all, whatever it means to you. So let's rewind before you even became a creator or copywriter and you're dreaming about it, you're daydreaming about it, you want it, and then something happens, you're working on a business and this sense of, oh, I finally have what I want, or the dream finally came true, or whoa, I really did deliver there. Like when you had that moment, because I don't know what your dream was, I don't know what you were pining for, but when you won for yourself, what was that moment so far?
So, okay, we'll go back to what I mentioned when, all of like the people in my network and all like these referrals and stuff, when they came in clutch for me, when I I wasn't prospecting or anything like that, but then things just started happening around me. And I did say that it might've been luck, but I think that's just me and my self-deprecating sense of self. But, honestly, like it is work. I did put in consistent work with making sure, I was talking to everybody in my network and telling people what I do on a consistent basis. I think the way that all culminated and then eventually came together for me and opened up these opportunities, which seemed to have come out of nowhere, but honestly, it was, like a culmination of all this, like all these small little things that I did to get to the point where people could trust me to hand off like work like that to me. I thought I'd have to send like 500 cold pitches a week to, get any clients and stuff like that. But really, it's just the meeting and getting to know these people and just building that trust with them. I don't know. All the friends I've made on this journey is my biggest win.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And when you were speaking, it reminded me of this quote from Oprah, or this definition from Oprah. She doesn't believe in luck. And she says luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And that is what happened to you. There was some grace from the universe, but most of it was your preparation. The seeds you planted, they blossomed when you needed them to blossom. So that is like a tremendous win. A win like I wish for everybody. But you got to plant the seeds to get that win. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
all right, awesome. Now we're going to dig into the final segment. I was going to say my favorite segment of the show, but this is my first time doing this. But what I foresee as my favorite segment of the show, a segment I call Going Deeper, where we go a little bit deeper and get to know you on a more human level. Your website is so freaking hilarious. I was literally laughing out loud when I was reading it. And as your friend, you always crack me up. So I'm curious, where did you get your sense of humor from? Like, is your family funny? Did you develop it as a coping mechanism? Do you watch a lot of comedy? How are you so funny?
Oh my gosh. Trauma, probably. No, I'm just kidding. No, which that's not funny. A lot of people actually really do that. But honestly, actually, maybe that is where it comes from. Like whenever I have anything difficult that I need to face head on, I use humor as a mask for for my true emotions or anything like that. I use humor and sarcasm to get through these difficulties, I guess. But it's probably a combination of my interactions with, all the interesting people that I've met in my life. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I wouldn't say I watch a lot of comedians. I actually don't really like stand up all that much. But
see, that's shocking. I thought you would have watched a lot because you are funny.
Thank you. Maybe I just have a knack for it. No. But I mean, I do read, I read a lot of funny like advertisements and stuff, or like, like I love following brands that are funny and just witty like that. So maybe, and then I love watching Family Guy. A lot of my humor comes from the show Family Guy.
Yeah.
And I grew up watching The Simpsons. Yeah, shoot, I don't know, like, because my parents are not very funny. Not at all. So I'm not going to say I get it from, I mean, my dad's pretty funny in his own dad jokey kind of way, but
yeah,
I don't know.
No, that all makes a lot of sense because I noticed some of the funniest people have some of the darkest life experiences, and it is like a coping thing. And then like growing up on The Simpsons and Family Guy, that will definitely influence and make you funny. Yeah, for sure. I grew up, even though I didn't like Def Comedy Jam when I didn't like stand up when I was younger, but I did watch a lot of Def Comedy Jam or whatever the 90s version of Kings of Comedy was, but I didn't like it at the time. But now I love stand up. I love late night. I hang with funny people like you, so I like absorb humor through my friendships. But yeah, I love it. And what is something you would love to be a part of, like invited to or be invited to be a part of?
This is going to sound probably really nerdy, but like an in-person copywriting convention of some kind. Like, I know you're in the Copywriter Club, but they have that yearly in real life meeting.
Yes.
Where they pick a location and copywriters within the community go and, there's speakers and there's fun events and stuff like that. And I would love to be a part of that. Like I've met you in person as a copywriter, and I think you're the only copywriter that I've met in person. So it's like, I'd love to meet other ones because, like I had such a great time with you, and I do have friends, copywriting friends that I've only known online. I think it would be great to just like have this like one event where we can all show up and just hang out together. I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah, that is fun. And I just realized I think you're the only copywriter I know in person too. Oh my gosh, my reality is melting between online and like reality. Yeah. I don't know who I know in person and who's online because online feels so real. But I think you are the only in-person copywriter I know too. What is a personality trait or habit that you would like to develop?
I don't know if you'll want to keep this answer, but cooking at home.
That's a good one.
Yeah, cooking at home would be a good habit I would like to get back. I used to do it all the time, but now just like this year, my life is just a little crazy. And now I just kind of eat to survive. And whether that means I'm going to Foodland and perusing their deli 2 times a day, like I just kind of wing it when it comes to the eating portion of my life. But yeah, that's something I would like to do.
Yeah, when you start cooking at home, you have to give me tips. I bought Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Chef, to learn how to cook at home, and like that didn't stick. I didn't get through the book. I've tried so many times. So if you succeed at getting a cooking at home habit, you'll have to give me some mindset tips as well as practical cooking tips. All right, let's say you are mentoring a group of teens and you can only leave them with 3 bits of advice. What are those 3 bits of advice you would leave them with?
Oh man, teenagers are so fun. They never listen, so even if I did have something profound to say, they don't listen to you.
They don't.
No, but like, let's see. I would say I really want to say this one, but it might send out the wrong message.
Say it. We keep it real here. It's not like a business podcast per se. It's all kinds of creators.
Okay. High school doesn't matter. Just show up, have a good time, and I promise you'll be fine. Because like, and you'll see, like as you get older, like it doesn't. Honestly, high school is such a small part of your life. Like I focused so much on doing like the right thing and getting straight A's and stuff like that, and still ended up in like the same spot as like some people who didn't try that hard. So I'm just like, what the heck, But yeah, honestly, just enjoy it, have a good time, be a good person. That's my one profound piece of advice for them.
Wait, let's dive into that one. What does it mean to be a good person?
Why'd you ask me that? I don't know. Just be nice to your classmates. You never know what people are going through, and don't stay in your clique. Talk to people, talk to everyone, branch out from your normal group and talk to everyone, because like so many people have so many interesting experiences and so many interesting things to say. And I think you do yourself a disservice by just sticking with who you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. And especially if you want to be a creator, you want to take in experiences from all different people, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, if I had talked to more like wide variety of people and didn't just stick to like the people that I knew because I was shy or whatever. When you go through high school and stuff, you just think, oh yeah, I have to go to college and get a 9 to 5, and then I just work there until I retire at like 60, and then but like nobody told me I could work from home and I could travel and work from a laptop, and that's also a good life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's so many different opportunities for you out there that the public school system just honestly doesn't tell you about. They just teach you how to stay in line and basically groom you to work 9 to 5.
Exactly.
That sucks for people. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so don't worry about high school. Be nice. And what's your 3rd piece of advice? Let's just say, like, this is the last piece of advice you can leave in the world, in a vault, for the next generation to find people of all ages.
That's crazy. That's crazy. The stakes are even higher. It's like my final words. It's like my epitaph. That's insane. You didn't make it easier.
Oh my god, I thought it'd be easier. Oh my god. Okay, Okay, here we go. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't suck.
There we go. I like it.
Honestly, I don't know, because I've always kind of had the mentality of like, not to quote Nike in any way, or this is purely an accident, but like just do it.
Yeah.
If you know what you need to do, then just do it. You know what I mean? Like there's like, I don't know if I'm kind of like a hard ass in that sense, but like if you have a problem, then fix it. And like profound advice or something, it just never really. I don't know. I'm not good at giving advice. I don't think.
No, it makes sense to like. I like the simplicity of it. It's like a minimalist advice. If there's a problem, fix it. If there's a goal, pursue it. If there's a task, do it. Like I like it. You can write a whole book with these little minimalist pieces of advice.
and not a lot of people, that doesn't resonate with a lot of people. And I get that, that's why, self-help is such a huge industry. But yeah, honestly, I'd give those two pieces of advice. And then my third piece of advice is don't listen to me.
Okay. And now for my final question of going deeper. If you had your own podcast or talk show, who would you invite to be your first guest and why?
Shoot, I don't know. If I had a podcast or a talk show, I think it would be centered around something silly or something spooky. Maybe something like maybe like a podcast about like horror movies, or or just scary things, maybe ghost stories or something. So I just want to say this. I think my first guest, which would probably, if this were a reality, it would never happen because he's too famous, but Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures. I would love to interview him.
Oh my gosh. I was doing something like you're not supposed to do as a good listener. I kept trying to guess. And like, I'm glad you're surprised me because that's exciting. My first guess was Ted Bundy. And I was like, wait, he's dead. I'm pretty sure Ted Bundy's dead. Dead, right?
I think so.
He had to be because he was saying.
You think I would know, but
yeah, I think I used to study Ted Bundy. He had to die in jail or be executed or something.
He died the year I was born, so yeah, he's dead.
Okay, so he's totally dead. So at first I thought Ted Bundy, I'm like, no, he's dead. Yeah. Then when you move to like ghost stories, I thought Stephen King, because he's like the only major horror guy I know. But you surprised me, and now you're going to simulate ideas for others. And I'm glad you said something like super cool and different. I don't even know if Gandhi's still alive. Not everybody's going to think I'm an idiot, but I'm glad you weren't like Gandhi or Oprah or whatever. I really like the uniqueness of your answer.
Thank you. Yeah, I've always just been kind of weird, I guess. And it's interesting that you find that interesting.
Yeah. And if people want to find more Janelle Cook, where should they look for you?
Well, as the lovely Jasmine mentioned earlier, my website is scarygoodcopy.com. You can find me ignoring LinkedIn. My name is Janelle Cook, and I'm sure Jasmine will link it in the show notes. Or you can follow me on Instagram at scarygoodcopy, where you can take a peek at my sad attempts at social media.
Nice. And if you like what you heard today, depending upon where you're listening, please like and review. Oh, sorry. No, see, I'm new, y'all. Rate and review if you're listening on the podcast platform. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Bye, creator kings and queens. Thanks for being here, Janelle. It was so great.
Yes, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome.